the stripes in my soul. Steel toes on, boots in the gravel, heartland truth on every channel. Open Bible, flag on the wall. We say what we believe when we don't talk at all. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell, can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the beltway. We won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell. We back the badge, we guard the border. We love our guns and law and order. They try to shame every word we say, but we don't bow down, we just press play. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell, can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the bell. Hey, we won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell. You can cancel the show, but not the crowd. We're still here, still talking loud. Hand of the free on every spell. Hit that mic, host, let the truth ring out. This is red, white, and raised hell. Cowboy hat, church bell, can't scare us into silence. We were born to rail from the back road to the beltway. We won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raised hell.
All right, everybody. Good morning. Thank you so much for being with us for the episode. It is the seventh morning of the seventh month. I have to check the motivational calendar. Seventh morning, seventh month, year of our Lord, 2026. And wow, we are loaded up this morning. One guest, Peter Kirsanow, will join us in the did you see the graphic that I was holding in place for today? Yeah, Pete and I are going to go at it a little bit. That's not bad AI work, I have to say. In fact, the last time I did, 2 times ago when I did a AI graphic to promote the show I was doing with Senator Husted, I uploaded a picture of Senator Husted, a real picture of Senator Husted, and a real picture of me. And, I told AI what I wanted it to look like for the graphic promo for the show for the day before. And Husted's did not come out well at all. And I got a note afterwards from Husted's team saying, can we find a better picture? I said, yeah, sorry, that's not a picture at all. I uploaded a picture to AI to create the graphic. And it's about the only thing AI is really good for, I think, that can be counted on for anything. So anyway, I said I uploaded the picture, and what it does is it can't just grab the picture and put it into a graphic it's creating. It has to break down the picture and then rebuild it or recreate it or whatever, how it does. And it's just what it came up with. And it wasn't great. And sometimes the pictures of me look absolutely nothing like me. I told him that too. It happens all the time. And then sometimes I'll just upload a different picture and it'll put that one back together. And it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty doggone good. Kirsanow too. Kirsanow about, I don't know, a month, two months ago, something like that. I put it up there and he looked and he said, who is that? He said, because that's not me. And I said, I know, bro. I do. It's AI's version of you. It's what it thinks you look like based on the picture that I gave it. And it just sometimes sucks. So I didn't know what to expect because I gave it yesterday. I gave it pictures of me and Pete looking straight ahead from the event that we did together. From the speech we gave in Brexville 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. My dates are running together now. Anyway, when we did Seven Hills, Palmer Republican Club, Broadview Heights Republican Club, that whole thing, and of course, Cuyahoga Valley Republicans. So it was just a picture of the two of us standing there looking straight ahead. So I told AI, I said, take these two guys and put them in an arm wrestling match with the caption, what I did. So let me pop it up here again. France versus because Pete texted me last night and said, hey, what topics do you want to cover tomorrow? And I said, none. I said, we're just going to freewheel because there's too many. And rather than trying to kind of order them all, let's just go at it, And so, I kind of figure socialism is probably going to be at the center of it. And so I just was poking around, like I said. So I told AI, take these two guys and put them in an arm wrestling match with a caption, France versus Kirsanow, who hates socialism more? And I have to admit, they're not perfect, but it took two pictures or a picture of two guys looking straight on, and it turned them toward one another the way you see here. And I'll put it back up again. Turn them toward one another, straining, gritting. You can see the grit on their faces, and in an arm. That's not very bad. That's actually pretty doggone good. That's as close to Pete. I wonder if I could pop up real quick, just again, the picture of Pete and I that I used as the sampler for them to use. I don't know if I have it handy here. I wish I did. I kind of don't think I do, but just so you can kind of see, it's not bad. It's really not bad. I think I used that actually maybe last week when Pete was on, so I should probably have it. But as I kind of just bounce around here real quick, not wanting to waste too much time on it, I'll probably stop here. I can't seem to find it. That side-by-side pic of me and Pete. Anyway, that's not bad. That's not a bad graphic there. They did a fairly decent job. And I use different ones, by the way. I'll bounce around and anyway. Yeah, I just can't seem to find it. Oh, well. So there you go. So Pete and I are going to go at it, and it's just going to be kind of a freewheel. The hard thing about fighting somebody in an arm wrestling match that you agree with 90% of the time, it's probably not going to be much of a fight other than who hates the socialist the most. But he'll be with us at 8 o'clock, as he is every Tuesday and has been almost every single week in the last now 11 plus years. Peter will be with us this morning. Okay. What are we doing here? Good morning to the chatters, by the way. I didn't talk to the chatters much yesterday at all. We were very, very busy, or I was very, very busy from the start, and I'm going to be very busy here in a couple of moments as well. So let me just pop in and see who's waiting early. B. Morgan got in early, and B. Morgan said, it's Tuesday, July 7th, 2026. Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. That's good advice. I agree. Armor up. CAD, good morning, everybody. Why don't we do the pledge anymore, Mr. France? Can we bring that back? You know what? I had an audio file of it that I played every day on the radio side, which apparently was not a copyright infringement, but it was an audio file with music behind it. That's what I played, and I had it, and I saved it, and I played it every single morning. And the primary reason I'm not playing it is because it'll be a copyright violation. It's somebody else's music and somebody else's version of the pledge. I mean, I suppose I could just stand here and do it myself, but I think that would be pretty boring, quite frankly. You just listening to me recite the pledge. You may be doing it with me, but nobody can hear you. So I want to play something that's pre-produced. I'm going to have to probably AI one, just like I did the music. Just like I did the music for the Ice Ice Agent and for Red, White, and Raise Hell, I'm going to probably have to AI a pledge that I can't get in trouble for using the copyright for. That's probably what I'll do. So CAD, thanks for the reminder. I really appreciate that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Who's in this morning? DB Jones. Happy Tuesday, F3 Patriots. What's F3 mean? I'm going to have to figure that one out. I don't know some of the shorthand, and I don't know some of the handles that you guys create for yourselves either. Lisa, I can understand that one. Tragic situation in Rittman with the loss of a police officer. Absolutely. I spent a good deal of time talking to Auditor Keith Faber last night. We did a recording for an episode that I think is probably going to be on Thursday. But Auditor Keith Faber wants to be the Attorney General. And so we were talking about policing and about law and order and so forth. And we did talk about the Wayne County violence and the officer who lost his life. Couple of other people too, just a horrific situation. So yeah, thank you for bringing it up so that we can extend our thoughts and prayers. Joanne, good morning. Stand up and fight for our grand republic. Prayers for those killed in Richmond. Agree 100%. Let's see. Rosebud, good morning to Rosebud. Prayers as well. SRL, good morning. There's that Facebook post, that auto post, which, by the way, this might be appropriate now for the first time in a long time. This is, again, that weird thing, and I don't want to dwell on it, but it's the weird thing where I posted the day after Charlie Kirk, or in the days after Charlie Kirk was murdered last September, and I posted this quote: "The spawn of Satan that shot Charlie Kirk is representative of the entire violent leftist movement in this country. Violence is all they know. When they can't beat you, they kill you. This may have been the shot that starts the new civil war." I posted that a couple of days after Charlie Kirk was killed. And for whatever reason, like I told you before, Facebook has decided it's going to be an auto repeat every time I go live. For whatever reason, I don't know. Because last September, I wasn't even going live. This only happens when I do a live stream. And I stream it out to Facebook in addition to Rumble, YouTube, and X, which are my normal 4, and then Facebook. When I do a live stream, Facebook automatically grabs that comment that I made back in September of last year, and it auto posts it to the comment section underneath this on Facebook. I don't know why, no clue why. And I still haven't figured out. All I can do to stop it really is I go in every day that I remember that it's there, and I just delete it because it's, not about anything we're talking about that day. However, I think I'll leave it there today because yesterday was the day 1 of the evidentiary hearing, supposed to be a 5-day evidentiary hearing, in which Tyler Robinson, the trans punk who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, allegedly, I'm sorry, all of the evidence points there, but day 1 of that happened yesterday, and it was the first time that Erica Kirk and Charlie Kirk's parents were in the same room with Tyler Robinson and Tyler Robinson's parents during this evidentiary hearing. So it's kind of appropriate, I guess, to bring that up. Good morning to Marty. Good morning to Fred. Good morning to Care Good. Good morning to Sherry. Where'd you go, Sherry? Trying to click that, and she seems to have disappeared. Where'd you go, Sherry? There she is. All right, there's good morning, Sherry. Big Jake, good morning, all. Woke up this morning, started thinking the result was not good. I thought about all those World War II vets we see at various events over the 4th. We had great opportunities and did not. I'm not sure what we're talking about. Did not what? At that point in time. Don't know what that means. Maybe we'll get more on that. Our sympathy to the family of the slain police officer and to his comrades in our country, all who mourn his death. Amen. Thank you, Sally. Lois Irene, good morning. Who else? Roz, good morning. B. Butts, good morning. Mike, I see Mike Giro, good morning. Charlie G, up and at it. Patriot Warrior in Texas, love it. Hockey player Mike, I see you. Victor Sim, good morning. R.H. Ron, I'm going to make sure I get everybody in who's in early. And if their name is up there, I want to acknowledge. What is this is Jessup. Oh, that's as in Colonel Jessup. You can't handle the truth, Colonel Jessup. If you live near a big city, look at this track docked. Okay, I can't really do that while I'm live on the show. Patriot Warrior Texas said, "Is Mitch still with us? Who knows? Is he talking about Mitch McConnell? Because there are reports and rumors that he's kind of at death's door and unconscious. I don't know if he's talking about Mitch McConnell, but he may be. Who else? Anybody else? Queen Mother, I see you there. Good morning. And that's where we're going to end the quick greetings. Thank you, everybody, because there's a lot to do here. All right. I'm going to put Dylan to work now because we're going to talk about Graham Platner. Graham Platner. I'm trying to decide if I like this filter, by the way. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm just looking. Most of the time when I do the live stream, I don't look at myself. I'm looking at the content that I'm bringing you and then just making sure that that stuff is on the screen. But I looked at myself yesterday when I was doing the recorded interview with Auditor Keith Faber. And here, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I noticed the distinct difference between the auditor and myself in terms of color. Watch this. I'm sorry, I'm ADHDing all over the place here. I'm chasing squirrels. But so that's the way it comes out, right? Can you see that? See how he's got color and I'm washed out as you can even imagine? It's just completely washed out. And I don't like it. I wanted it to, so I got into the filters. I had my son help me and I got into the filters and tried to do one that actually doesn't show me like washed out like a ghost. And so the one we came up with was, I think it's called Pop on the platform that we use. And it kind of just, it made my shirt go from being drab to blue. So hopefully it makes my skin go from ghostly pale to colored. It gives me a little more color in my graying beard. I can see that for sure. Look at the difference there. Dink and dink. It's the Pop filter. Anyway, I don't know if I like it or if I look orange or something. It sucks being colorblind trying to figure out colors. That I can tell you. All right. So for, I don't know how many months now, have the Democrats completely ignored, excused, explained away, defended in whatever capacity the behaviors of one of the most reprehensible human beings, I think, ever to run for office at the national level. Now, technically, he's running at the state level because it would be to represent the state of Maine in the United States Senate, but it is the United States Senate, so it is a national position. Maybe the most reprehensible person to come down the line, maybe ever. Now, I guess we've got to go back, and there was a time when David Duke was running for president. There have been some bad. I mean, I'm not going to do the history of it. I'm just going to point out that Graham Platner is an absolutely reprehensible, repugnant, disgusting thug of a human being. And I'm talking about one of the worst you have ever seen or heard. The list of various crimes and misdemeanors that this guy, and that's a euphemism, not actual crimes yet, that he has been accused of or admitted to, and that have been explained away by Democrats who decided this is our freaking guy and we have his back. The list of these crimes is extraordinary. From the Nazi tattoo to the self-proclaimed communist affiliation to the rape fantasies. I hope somebody breaks into my house so I can rape him. Not in a sexual way, not in a gay way, he said, but in a way to prove my dominance. He wanted to rape a man who breaks into his home. The playing around on young kids' dating sites. I mean, we're talking about a dating site that he was visiting and messaging people on while married, one that is populated by primarily 13 to 24-year-olds. I mean, just one thing after another, after another, after another. And what were we told by the Democrats? Oh, people have a right to make mistakes, but they can change, they said. People, he's accused of abusing women. He's accused of physically violating them, twisting one of their arms behind their backs and grabbing them by the back of the neck and shoving her into a room and then closing the door and holding it from the outside. She was not allowed to get out. That's called kidnapping, by the way. When you forcibly remove somebody's ability to get away from where they are, that's kidnapping. All kinds of not just red flags. I mean, we're talking about a ship full of red flags with this guy. And how many times did they have his back? Why? Why excuse the Nazi tattoo, which, remember, they've spent the last 10 years going after Donald Trump and calling him a Nazi, going after the cabinet, going after the ICE forces, going after everybody. They're Nazis. They're the Gestapo. They're Hitler. They're Himmler. They're Goebbels. They're Hess. They're Mengele. They name them all. But now their guy has a Nazi tattoo. He covered it up. He doesn't have any more. It's covered up. See, so it's he learned, and he didn't know what it was really at all. Everybody he talked to did, but he didn't know. For 18 years, he didn't know. That's why he covered it up right after he decided to run for the Senate. So that's what we have been dealing with. In fact, let's pull up number 3, Dylan. Let's pull up number 3 on the list, and let's work through some of this here. Now, this might be a little bit difficult. We're going to try to play, or I'm going to ask Dylan to try to play these. These are 4 videos in one post there. Go ahead and pull that up and see if we can square up on the videos. Is that number 3, Dylan? Dems kissing Platner's Nazi ass? That's not number 3 is the one I want. You numbered them, bro. You got to get on your own freaking numbers, man. Number 3. Is that number 3? Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's the one right there. Okay. So we're going to play all 4 of those because of what it says. I want you to watch very carefully. I want you to listen to what these people had to say. These were the what are you doing? You're killing me, bro. You're killing me. That's the one right there. Yeah. Okay. So that upper left-hand corner. Now, are those videos or are those just still shots? Because I see the timers in each of them. So I'm assuming they'll each play. So we'll find that out. Do those play? Can you play that first one, or is that just a still shot of the video?
It's a still shot.
It's just okay. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Okay, then if that's the case, then just enlarge it, Dylan. No, keep it on there. We're going to talk about this. I want the point to be made. The point to be made, even if there's no video, I want everybody to see what we're talking about here. Elizabeth Warren, after all of the Graham Platner dirt came out, after they, uncovered all of these deep, dark secrets that he was holding back, Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas herself, Graham Platner is my kind of man. Bernie Sanders was the man promoting him the most. Graham Platner represents the legacy we need. Debbie Dingell, Graham Platner is a true champion for working families. Graham Platner, just blame Trump. Okay. Move down now to number 4. This one is an actual video. I know this one can be played. That's the one you grabbed before. Grab that one, Dylan. And let's listen to Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas herself, right before she voted against Pete Hegseth. You may recall she called Pete Hegseth a drunk and a threat to women and children. This is the same woman who said Graham Platner represents, quote, the fire we need. Play this.
Senator, real fast, what qualifies you to vote against Pete Hegseth when you support dangerous open border policies? You don't want to answer about open borders?
I'm really happy to answer.
Yes.
And that is, it is dangerous to the national security when we have someone who has repeatedly been drunk. We have affidavits. We have eyewitnesses who have said this. I care about the national security of the United States because I care about my children and my grandchildren.
So her big accusation against Pete Hegseth was that he's been seen drunk. We have affidavits of him being drunk. Wait, what? Is drinking a crime? No, but pretty sure drinking and raping a woman is a crime. Pretty sure that, which is exactly what he has now been credibly accused of. I want to go to number 6. No, let's go with number 5. Let's go with number 5 just because I want to share this part of the story as well. Dylan, throw number 5 up for me. Look at what is happening now. The Democrats who were backing Graham Platner, despite the Nazi tattoo, despite the sexting while he was married, despite the credible accusations of force, if not outright striking, but physically assaulting women, they continued to have his back. But now that he is being accused of straight up drunken breaking and entering and raping an ex-girlfriend that he had once dated, suddenly Ro Khanna, well, now it's a bridge too far. Ro Khanna rescinding his endorsement. Ruben Gallego, who is the best friend of former Democrat representative and former candidate for governor of California, Eric Swalwell. Best friend. Apparently knew nothing of Eric Swalwell's multiple abuses of women that finally came out and forced him to end his campaign. So suddenly, Khanna and Gallego among Democrats saying, yeah, we'll have to pull our endorsement here. It's more than just them, by the way. The Platner campaign ended up having to cancel events over the weekend, and they have since canceled more. And the rumors are swirling now that he is about to end his campaign. Why? Because of this. Dylan, let's bring up number one now. This is Graham Platner's accuser. And what makes this of particular interest is her political leanings. All I can say is, thank you, God, that this woman is a leftist, liberal Democrat, whatever you want to call that. Because if she was moderate or, God forbid, a Republican, of course, she would not. The party that said, believe all women, believe all women, believe all women. Remember that? When they were trying to accuse Brett Kavanaugh, when they're trying to accuse President Trump, believe all women, believe all women. The party that said believe all women would absolutely have nothing to do with believing this woman if she were a Republican or a non-voter. Somebody who was not a registered voter of any kind. But she's one of them. And so now suddenly, what used to be, believe all women, but you know what? We really have to win Maine. Go, Graham, go. Never mind the women that accused him of forcibly assaulting them. We need to win Maine. We've got to win the freaking Senate back so we can nuke the filibuster and end Donald Trump. We got to win Maine. We need this seat. We got to flip it. I don't care if it's Satan himself. We've got to win the seat. Well, guess what? Turns out it pretty much is Satan himself. That's how bad this guy is. I want you to listen now to the woman who says Graham Platner raped her in 2021, who sat on this and was not going to say anything because she's a leftist who knew that we've got to win Maine. We've got to win Maine. The accuser and Graham Platner supporters, that was their mindset until finally she couldn't do it anymore. She went on CNN. She talked to Jake Tapper, but moreover, she gave her story to Politico. Politico dropped this bombshell yesterday. Many can suspect, and I think fairly and reasonably, that the Democrat Party knew there were some other real bad skeletons in Graham Platner's closet of horrors that were going to come out, and he was going to be no longer useful to them. So that's probably why they went to Politico and said, all right, we're dropping this now. Go talk to this woman. She's the one who says he raped her. Let's get him out of our hair now so there's still 4 months left so we can try to find a replacement to run against Susan Collins. Finally, they've decided to cut this baggage loose because they had to. And that's why Politico had the story and Jake Tapper got this interview. Go ahead.
Fucked up around people you aren't comfortable with.
Right.
What did you think when you saw that?
I thought, here's a man who was drunk and who, by dictionary definition, raped me. And he's blaming drunk women. So I just felt like that was a very odd take to have on that. And I also feel like with all of the comments that he made about women, sexual assault, rape, even, the comments that he had made that was in the New York Times article about, threatening people with rape, like, why does this person have this issue like scattered throughout their life, throughout their commentary, like it's on their mind? Why do they have such a strong opinion about women coming forward with allegations? Like, I just feel like this isn't the first time.
I know that you have been very reluctant to tell this story.
Yeah.
Very reluctant. Why did you ultimately decide to do it? Why come forward?
A few reasons. One of the biggest ones is that I think that there are a lot of men in this world relying on the silence of women and to be where they are. And I don't want to contribute to that. I also want to just get my life back.
There are going to be people, maybe even his campaign, certainly his supporters, who say this is politically motivated. What would you say to that?
I couldn't disagree more. That was actually one of the reasons that I didn't come out.
That was one of the reasons she didn't come out. She didn't want to harm the Democrat. He didn't want to lose the opportunity to flip a Democrat Senate seat in her home state of Maine from red to blue. So she was going to be willing to stay silent about being raped because Graham Platner, a rapist, needs to win Maine. What matters more? You know, her trauma about being raped by this drunken bastard back in 2021 or winning Maine. That's why she sat on it. But ultimately, she decided to come forward. Why? And I'm going to say it again. If you think it's because suddenly she was struck by an attack of conscience or something, because, maybe, that's the one thing. I can't relate, so I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Obviously, men can't really relate to what a woman's mindset would be like after a rape, obviously. But what many of us do talk about, many people, men and women talk about, is when women who are raped don't come forward to try to hold their rapist accountable. The biggest concern is you're letting him get away with it, which means he now feels like I can get away with raping. So he's going to victimize somebody else. That's why it's so important to come forward. But I know why many don't. Because, of course, they go on trial about whether or not they are the ones, or if they're promiscuous, their dating life, their appearance, whatever. It's so hard in a he said, she said type thing to get a conviction. Many of them don't try. So I understand all of it from the standpoints of, believability and so forth. But having said all of that, she wasn't going to come forward, and now suddenly she is. Why? And it's because Graham Platner has become a liability. They were championing him. They were pushing him. They were supporting him no matter what controversy came up about his past. And we're not talking about 20 years ago past. We're talking about 2, 3, 4 years ago past. We're talking about who he is today, including that Nazi tattoo wearer who fantasizes about raping people. You heard her say that. So he became a liability to the Democrats. They realize he can't win. It's a waste of money, throwing good money after bad. We're not going to flip that seat. So, hey, they go to the rape victim and say, okay, we need you to come forward. Tell the story to Politico. We can get this out here now in a quick enough time to stop him from running any further, and we can perhaps replace him on the ballot. You got 4 months here to create a campaign for somebody else. It's not dissimilar to Biden and Harris in the summer of 2024. Obviously, I'm not talking about their crimes, I'm talking about the Democrat usefulness of them. Once Biden was exposed in June of 2024, in that debate in which he literally was just completely incoherent, they realized, all right, it's over. We can no longer push the lie that this guy is, cognizant of his surroundings and that he's, able to process thought and so forth. We're going to have to do something. We'll at least have a few months to build up a campaign for Kamala. And you notice they didn't even have a primary of any sort or some sort of a short abridged primary and find somebody to run for 4 months. They just handed it to Kamala. But once they realized he was no longer of use to them, they booed him. Once they realized Graham Platner is no longer of use to them, let's get him out. So it's similar in that regard. So let's hear, just for the sake of being thorough, let's hear what Graham Platner said in response to this yesterday. He got teed up, combed his hair with a brick, stood in front of a camera to say, no, I didn't. Nuh-uh. Play it.
I wanted to directly address the troubling, serious, and false allegations against me. Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false. Over the last 10 months, I have been deeply humbled by the faith Mainers have put in me. You have welcomed me into your homes, into your places of work, into your restaurants, into your houses of worship. You have shown that a different kind of politics, one that puts the interests of people over corporations, is not just possible.
All right, stop it right there. Stop it right there, because I can't even listen to him going back into the campaign mode there. Because what he does say ultimately is they're going to make some decisions in the very near future about the best path forward, which is an indication that, yeah, he's about to suspend his campaign. He's lost his funding. He's lost his endorsements. He's lost, most of what put him where he was. Completely undeserving, completely. I mean, you look at that guy's eyes. Put that back up there for a second. Look at that guy's eyes. I mean, I'm no psychiatrist nor psychologist, but I'm telling you, there's something very, very schizo about this guy. If you look at him and if you listen to him, honestly, he is a very, very, very dangerous dude. He's an ex-Marine. I feel like he is the kind of person that once his entire world blows up, which it is now, and all of his myriad crimes that he has committed against women and in so many other ways, once these are all coming out to completely ruin his world and his public persona, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I feel like that's a dangerous dude. Demented, deranged, and Democrat. And I think there's something to be afraid of with this guy. I do. You look at him, you listen to him. This guy does not seem like he is all stable. Let's put it that way. Not at all stable. All right, so let's move back to the question of what are the Democrats going to do? Bernie Sanders promoted this guy for months and months and months. Elizabeth Warren promoted this guy for months and months and months. He's an avowed communist. He says socialist, communist, tomato, with the Nazi tat. Everything about him, the left explained away. You know, he got that when he was, in the Marines, and he was in, where did he say, Beirut or wherever it was, and all of his guys, and he just picked one off the wall, and in a drunken, he didn't really know what it was, in a drunken stupor, he said, I'll take that one. It looks mean. It's got like a skull and crossbones or something. He didn't know what he was doing. Once he became aware that it was a Nazi tattoo, he covered it up. Now, that, of course, was completely contradicted by countless people, including girlfriends, who said he bragged about it. That's his Totenkopf. He knew exactly what it was. But he can change. Even if he did know, he can change. This is what happens. People can change. He abused a whole bunch of women. Credible accusations of things specifically that he did to each of them. Yeah, but, we can't believe all women. That ship sailed back about 4 or 5 years ago. We can't believe all women. We found that out. Sometimes women lie. We need to win Maine. Well, he was on a sexting app. He was sending nude pictures while married to other women. Yeah, but, again, people make mistakes. People make mistakes, and we give people grace because they can change. We really need to win Maine. On and on and on this goes. They have to win Maine. And now that he is being credibly accused of rape by one of their own, which is crucial to this entire point, one of their own, she admitted, I didn't come forward because I don't want to hurt my guy. I don't want to hurt my candidate because I want my party to win the Senate. I want my party to advance and take control of this country. So she's willing to cover up for her rapist until she wasn't. She's one of their own. So where does that leave us? The Democrats have to explain how and why it is that they have been defending and supporting this guy all along. And the answer that they're coming up with is, well, he wasn't thoroughly vetted. Scott Jennings, get number 6, Dylan. Scott Jennings blew that up on CNN yesterday as well. He wasn't thoroughly vetted. That's why you guys all backed him. You vetted the hell out of him. You knew everything that he said. Let's play that video, Dylan. He knew, you guys knew everything that he said and did, and the accusations against him. He was thoroughly vetted, and you said, that's our guy anyway. Don't tell us you didn't vet him. Play it.
The only thing I disagree with is when she said that he hadn't been vetted. No, he had been vetted. All of the things that have been stated, it was all out in the public. And people like Ro Khanna, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Tim Walz, the Bulwark, Pod Save America, all these people came together to overlook it all, to explain it all, to rationalize it all. He was vetted. People knew all these things. And a whole bunch of Democrats in Maine showed up and voted for him anyway. And a bunch of donors from around the country sent him money anyway. I agree with Alyssa's question. What changed? Why are you bailing on Graham Platner now? You already signed off on Nazi tattoo, a self-described communist, somebody who's had rape fantasies, somebody who has been on a social media platform known as a playground for predators, and on and on and on and on and on. And the difference between this accuser and the previous one is simply this: she's a liberal. It's okay, I guess, for Democrats that their candidates assault conservatives, but he broke into someone's house and apparently, according to her, raped her. And because her politics are correct, they can now believe it. All of this whole thing is disgusting. But to say that they hadn't vetted him or that they didn't know about all this is totally false. They knew it and they signed up for it. And I don't know why they're backing away from this scumbag today when they had already signed off on all that other crazy behavior.
Christine.
You know exactly why, Scott, because he cannot win. He cannot win. Maine, for being as blue as it is, has continued to elect Susan Collins.
Is when she said,
yeah, they've continued to elect Susan Collins because she's a moderate Republican. She's no conservative, so they can live with that. There is no way that they were going to be able to justify an admitted communist, Nazi tattoo wearer, all of the things you just listed, all the things I've listed, all of the things everybody has uncovered about this guy, now added to credibly accused of rape. They could not win with him. And so knowing that this is not going to be a seat that they could flip, he is no longer of use to them. So the excuses for him and the covering up and, like you said, vetting him, but then saying, yeah, we learned some things, but we're okay with it. All of that had to end. He's no longer of use to them, so they kick him to the curb. Now, he should be kicked to the curb and then down into a gutter and then down into the pits of hell, quite frankly, because that's kind of who he is and what he is. But for the Democrats, now the question is what are they going to do? They're going to try to find somebody else. Can they put somebody else on the ballot? The answer, according to what I read yesterday, is yes, but it's complicated. I'm not going to go into the hows and wheres and whys and so forth, but the reality is they're going to have to find a way to put somebody else on that ballot instead of Susan Collins. But what I want to say is, I don't care if they put up Mother Teresa. I mean, I don't care if they find the most squeaky clean, never touched by scandal, perfectly virtuous person in that spot now. You cannot vote for Democrats. Not just that figurative, squeaky clean replacement. You can't vote for any Democrats. Why? Because they wanted you to vote for that Democrat. That Nazi, that communist, that abuser, that serial cheater, that everything about him, and now that rapist. They wanted you to vote for him. They excused every single one of the skeletons in his closet. And again, skeletons in the closet kind of refer to past behaviors, but we're talking about current, who he is and what he is. And they wanted you to vote for him anyway. They valued winning the Senate and winning power more than they valued human beings that have been harmed by that guy. So this is no longer just about Graham Platner. It's no longer about whomever his potentially squeaky clean replacement might be. It's about a party so corrupt, so beyond redemption, that they wanted you to vote for the Nazi anyway, while on the news every night screaming, Trump's a Nazi, Trump's a Nazi, Trump's a Nazi. The ICE agents are Gestapo, they're secret police. They're all Nazis. It's the Third Reich all over again. They were so appalled and so disgusted and so scared of the Third Reich and the Nazi right, none of which was true. But an actual Nazi on their side, it's okay. You know, people are allowed to change, you know. You can't vote for that party. They do not have the best interest of the people in mind. They have the best interest of themselves and their own power in mind. Their interest is their power, and that's it. And that needs to be exposed, and people cannot even consider voting for somebody like this. And I don't mean, again, Graham Platner. He's going to be booted from the ballot. But they cannot vote for this party. You cannot green light a party that green lights Nazi serial assaulters, now accused rapists. You cannot reward that party with your faith and your trust that they will have the best interest in their hearts of the American people. You just cannot. I hope this Democrat expose doesn't only ruin them in Maine, it ruins them nationally. And it should. Because guess what? Elizabeth Warren's not from Maine. Bernie Sanders not from Maine. Tim Walz's not from Maine. Ro Khanna is not from Maine. Ruben Gallego is not from Maine. The long list of Democrats saying this is our dude. He's our man. He's the guy we want to be our legacy. This is the guy who's our fire. Yeah. Because, remember, this is a party that embraced the notion that masculinity is toxic. And that drove millions of young masculine, Gen Z males to Donald Trump and the Republican Party, who said, we love your masculinity. We love your strength and your power and your courage and your willingness to defend, because that's what masculinity is all about, protectionism. And young males said, the Democrats are calling us toxic for masculine. We need to be more feminine. We need to have a little bit more soy in our lives. We need to be a little bit more beta. That's not happening. And they ran to the conservative side, which is where they belong. And the Democrats knew that crushed them in 2024. So we got to find a way to get some of those masculine people back. We got to get some of those males back. We got to find our lumberjack. We got to find our Marine. Look at Platner. He's got a Paul Bunyan beard. He wears flannel. He's from Maine, outdoorsman, does some oyster farming, but that's our guy. He's tatted up a little bit too much, it would appear, but we can cover that one up. He's got other tats, masculine, strong. We'll bring those males back. At all costs, they wanted to do that, including grabbing somebody like him. And for that, they can never be forgiven. For that, they can never, ever be trusted with your vote. All right, somebody you can trust, however, is my friend Charlie at Charlie's Auto Repair in Lakewood. If you are in Northeast Ohio, and I love the fact that we are getting more and more people watching us from outside the state, thanks to some radio I did in Houston. So appreciate that very much. But if you are a Northeast Ohio resident, you need to get to Lakewood. You got a car problem, and I don't care what it is. If it's regular maintenance, you got to get your oil changed, your tires rotated, your brake pads checked and replaced, any of those kind of things, out of alignment. Just get that taken care of with Charlie. But if you've got serious problems underneath that hood, or if you've got serious problems inside the CPU, inside the computer that runs your car, Charlie is an expert at diagnosis and repair. And Charlie is going to take great care of you too. Because the one thing you cannot say about most mechanics is that they're honest. They know that you don't know anything about cars, and they take advantage of that, and they overcharge you for things you should not be charged. Charlie doesn't do that. How do you know? He's a patriot. See that flag in his lot? Yeah, that's his blue line flag. Charlie's MAGA. Charlie's pro-police. Charlie is America first, and he will make your car great again. Call him. 216-470-0170. You see it on the screen. Shouldn't have to say it. 216-470-0170. And if you're watching this on replay, you can even just rewind it a little bit and you'll get that number there. If you are watching somewhere in Northeast Ohio, I don't care where, get to Lakewood. Charlie's Auto Repair is a foundational partner and sponsor of this program. So thank you to Charlie for that and for all that you do. All right. I got Kirsanow coming in about 9 minutes, but I want to move into a second story real quick. It probably should be longer than it is. And Dylan, we're going to pull up, oh goodness, which one? We'll pull up number 8 first as we get into the story of the photograph, the viral photograph that came up over the weekend in Washington, D.C. There's a train in which a group of people, just zoom in on the picture if you would, a group of people, as you can see, wearing masks and hats and blue shirts and khaki pants, all packed into a train, okay, to get down to D.C. In the middle of those masked, same hat wearing, same shirt, same pants wearing individuals is a young Black woman. Apparently, the uniformed individuals with the masks and stuff, they are part of a white nationalist group called the Patriot Front. Now, I'm going to confess, I don't know anything about the Patriot Front. I do know what I've learned since these photographs went viral. This photograph in particular went viral, and then they marched in Washington, D.C., leading up to the America 250. I'll say it very clearly and categorically, I'll just say, if they are a white nationalist group, I condemn them. Just in the same way I would condemn Antifa, in the same way I do condemn any black militant groups. If you are identifying yourself as being superior or being against another race solely by the virtue of your race, you are scum, period. And that includes the Patriot Front, if that's what they are. I don't know anything about it. I'm just telling you what I've read and learned in the last, 72 hours or so about this group. But the photo here is another story altogether. The left, including left-wing Democrat politicians, are reposting this photograph all over social media with fury. Look at what young black women have to endure in this country, in Trump's America. They can't even get on a train without being surrounded by white supremacists and white nationalists and racists. Oh my God, look at this. One of them said that this photograph will be in history books. Years from now, it will be in history books. They're trying to make this young woman Rosa Parks. And I won't even get into the real history of Rosa Parks and the real story there. But they're trying to say that this is an example of how young black people are treated in America. In Trump's America, they're surrounded by brazen white nationalists. That's the narrative that they have been advancing. The problem, scroll up now, Dylan, to the commentary, as somebody pointed out the very obvious truth about this. The photograph there by Reuters and Getty Images. What are the odds that were journalists that just happened to be on that DC Metro train to capture this perfect PSYOP photo? Shouldn't they try to make the coordination just a little less obvious? And I got to tell you, I hadn't even thought of it, but it's true. Look at that picture. According to the report, the car was filled with nothing but the white nationalist Patriot Front people and one black woman and a journalist from Reuters. How in the holy hell can they honestly expect us to be that stupid? I will confess to that stupidity, because when I first saw the photo, my first response was, this is what they're angry about? This is what they're mad about, this. Not about the real life situation in which Irina Zarutska, the young Ukrainian immigrant in Charlotte who was on a train with a black man who stabbed her to death. Stabbed her in the neck and said, I got that white one. I don't remember if he said white woman or white bee, but white something. Stabbed her to death. The Democrats paid zero attention to that. Zero. So you have a case in which a black man on a train murders a defenseless white girl. Nothing. And in this case, a bunch of supposed white nationalist Patriot Front people did nothing to a black girl, and that's the one that they're outraged over. That's the one that they say is going to be in the history books. You cannot make this kind of stupidity up. I mean, what's the viral photo for? What's the news story? Bunch of masked people ride train with black woman, nothing happens. Film at 11, nothing happened. And talk to her and harass her. And most assuredly, nobody stabbed her. But let's learn a little bit. By the way, Dylan, throw up, if you could, number 7 real quick, just to remind everybody what we were talking about, or what I was talking about, the horrific situation in Charlotte. That's the image that should be in the history books. Get the photo part up. There you go. That is literally, those are the last 30 seconds or so of Irina Zarutska's life. He's about to be stabbed in the neck by a savage. That's all you can call a person that is doing that, a savage. That's the picture that's going to be in the history books. That's the one the Democrats ignored. The one of people not doing anything to the young black girl is the one that they say is going to be in the history books. You can't, like I said, you can't make that stuff up. All right. So can you be a little less obvious is a very, very fair question, because that looks like a complete psyop. And there's a little bit more that we need to share about this too. Dylan, see if you can grab number 9 now, because we've learned a little bit more about the so-called victim, and you can't call her a victim because she didn't suffer anything except to sit in a train car with a bunch of people in masks. But the left wants you to believe that she is some kind of a victim. Yeah, Kirsanow, I think, is in the wrong studio. Yeah, I think he's in the wrong studio. I'm going to have to send him. I just was looking for Pete to see if he's in the green room. So he is not yet in the green room. So I'm going to have to resend him the studio link real quick. I got a text message saying I'm in the studio and it says it's waiting for the host to arrive. Of course, we arrived. We are here. So he is in the wrong place. So I'm going to give him the right place. If you just bear with me for a second. Yeah, I don't know what studio he's in, but he's in the wrong one. Okay. So to the point, let's go back. Put that back on the screen, if you would, Dylan. In fact, you can full screen this if you want, because what you're going to see there off to the right is a video of the very same woman before that train ride situation happened. As you can see, what is being blocked out there is she is taking her pants down. She is literally committing an act of indecent exposure moments before the photo was taken. She is also described, according to the Right Angle News Network, and I don't know what their source is, she apparently has a lengthy arrest record. Now, you know it's the same woman, because if you look at her shirt when she stands up there after dropping her pants on a public train like that, it's the same shirt that you can see on the image to the left, where she was in the train with all of those, what are they called again? Not Proud Boys, Patriot Front masked folks. So you've got this strangely behaving woman. Well, I'm going to be as gentle and kind as I can. A strangely behaving woman there. You can work it here, Dylan. Let's, surrounded then by these, and I will go back to the other image from the other link, Dylan, the one of the full shot of her on that train. Yeah. And we're supposed to believe that this innocent looking, potentially vulnerable Black woman, surrounded by all of these masked members of a supposed white nationalist group, only them on the train, except for a journalist who has a perfect photograph of her square on from the front, surrounded by all of these people not bothering her, not harassing her, not doing anything to her. So, is it a psyop? Is it a hoax? Is it a Jussie Smollett kind of a moment? Answers are yes, yes, and yes. It is every bit those. And the Democrats are just seizing upon it. And again, let's go back to the hypocrisy of the entire thing with the Graham Platner Nazi tattoo. Trump is a racist. These are neo-Nazi groups. They have fealty and loyalty to Trump. They're harassing a Black woman on a train. That picture is going to go down in history books as evidence of what life in America was like under Donald Trump, where innocent Black people were surrounded by white nationalists in masks, harassing them. That's the message. The same party that dismissed the Platner Nazi tattoo, the same party that completely ignored the murder of Irina Zarutska, I believe it is, on the Charlotte train by a Black man. That one, pay no attention. Nothing to see here. Nothing at all. But the picture of the black girl sitting amongst the Patriot Front Group, that should be in the history books, telling the story of what life was like in Trump's America. That is literally what Democrats are saying. You can't make it up, my friends. All right, I do see Kirsanow in the green room now, so he found the right room. I'm going to welcome him now. Not Dylan, I didn't welcome him yet. You got to work with me, bro. You got to work with me. I'm not ready for him yet. Work with me here. I was about to say we're going to take a short time out. We're going to come right back after this. Enjoy.
Yo, ICE, let's kick it. Ice agents. Ice agents. All right, stop against the wall and listen. ICE is here on a lawful mission. Don't move, because we're holding you tightly, rounding up aliens daily and nightly. Will we ever stop? Oh, hell no. Don't make us come for you. Just go. If they extreme, we take them down to the ground. Tear gas is ready when the mob comes around. Damn, they like to scream and shout, but none of them knows what they're talking about. Deadly, they coming at us like the enemy. They play the race card, facing down a felony. All the invaders, you best get away. We rolling up quick, we not here to play. If there's an alien, yo, we'll find him. Homeboy can run, but we're right up behind him. Ice agents. We are the ice agents. We are the ice agents. We are the ice agents. Now that the border is tighter, cartel smugglers run a little bit lighter. Coming at you hard, we hit with precision. Trying to resist us, bad decisions. Raid them, illegal operations. Kicking fugitives out this nation. Let's move, time to pick up the tempo. We gotta roll there outside Home Depot. Rolling with the local 5-0. With the blue lights on just to let them know. Karen's on the roadside holding up the hate signs. Did we stop? No, we just kept flying, moving on. Pursuing all the bad guys. We must have left and they scatter like mayflies. The block was dead, yo, so we continue to Tampon's Place, Tim Walls Avenue. Aliens all in the sanctuary city. Activists in the way begging for pity. So sad, cause we not here to play. Violate our laws and you're going away. Ice agents. We are the ice agents. We are the ice agents. We are the ice agents. Yo, take heed, because we never stop looking. We catch you on the scene, we start hooking and booking our town. The one that doesn't want you around. We're stepping up and taking traffickers down. Cause our style's like a federal raid. One knock at the door and you best be afraid. Motivated and trained, we're one hell of a crew. With the law on our side, we're coming for you. Citizens, they're tired of the game. Sick of open borders, hearing your names. Don't move, cause we're kicking you out. Massive deportation's what we're talking about. Keeping our family safe, wearing that mask. And if lefties don't like it, they can all kiss our ass if you cross our border. Yeah, we're coming, check out the badge, yeah, you better start running. Ice agents. We are the ice agents. We are the ice agents. Ice agents. Yeah, we are ice. Yo, man, let's get them out of here. Back home to their mothers. Ice agents, let's roll. 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 Ice agents, let's roll.
Call me Vanilla France. Yep, that's Ice agents. Now we can bring in my counterpart. Let's welcome United States Civil Rights Commissioner and soon to be the chair of the United States Civil Rights Commission, Peter Kirsanow, back with us again. Pete, where are you? Oh, there you are.
Right here.
Yes, sir. I got you, brother. How are you, sir?
Doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm good. You get lost today? You found yourself in the wrong room.
I hit the same link I always do.
Oh no, where you go? I just happened. It was like 2 minutes late, and I thought, "Where's Pete? Usually he's in by now." And then I saw.
Oh yeah, I came in a little bit, that's right on time.
Well, Pete, while you were away, you might not have remembered our arm wrestling match. The question is who do you think won? Take a look.
That's pretty good, AI. I gotta have to admit.
That's not bad. And I
As
brought it up when
opposed to the last rendition you had of me that didn't look anything like me. That's actually me, and with my suit and everything.
I know
That's my tie. Yeah.
that's why I said this at the top of the show when I was, promoting that you were coming on for the second hour. I said one of the previous times I did an AI promo of me and Pete, I said it didn't look anything like Pete. And I said, look, AI can't just take your picture and plug it into a graphic. It has to break it down and then put it back together again, basically as it sees you. And sometimes it works and sometimes it's like crap, myself included. Sometimes that's not even close to me. So I just took a shot. That picture was taken or was created from the picture of you and I in Brecksville. One of the two of us standing just side by side. So it's, pictures of us from the front when we were standing. No, I'm sorry. This was the one in Oregon, because that's when you had that suit on. So we were side by side and from the front. So I just rolled the dice last night as I was preparing the show and I was trying to put a little promotional graphic up there. And I said, take these two guys and put them in an arm wrestling match. And put the caption up there, France versus Kirsanow, who hates socialism more, or something like that, which is what I did. And I just figured because it failed so much on your previous one straight on and mine many times too, no way. And it spit that out. And I was damn impressed. I'm
impressed also. Yeah. Yeah.
It looks like you and, it's got us straining, and gritting your teeth and me the same. And I think yours probably looks a little better than mine in terms of accuracy, but I'll take that. I mean, it's pretty scary what it can do when it can take two guys looking straight on and put us in a position like that and be that doggone close.
Yeah, and that's why you can't believe anything you see anymore. I mean, you never could, but now it's definitely something you have to keep your, when you see, especially with the left and the media, but I repeat myself, they can do almost anything now. It's a kind of like a Soviet psyop.
It is. It is very much that. Well, you know what? What a perfect segue into what I was just talking about. Pete, I wasn't going to start here with you, but we can just kick this around everywhere. Like I said yesterday, I kind of want to free will with you. There's so much news. I don't want to limit anything. I want a conversation to just go where it goes. Speaking of psyops, have you been paying it? And I know you're not on social media, so you're probably less tuned into this than probably everybody watching right now, because they're watching on social media. But did you see the viral photograph of the young black woman riding on the train in D.C. on the way in the D.C. Metro on the way down to the 250 event? So you saw that, and you saw. Do you know anything about that Patriot Front Group?
I think that they are a fake group that has been created by the left. I wouldn't be surprised if they're substantially composed of Antifa members. You can look at that and tell almost immediately that this is a staged event. By staged, I mean something intended to make conservatives or the right look bad. I mean, this is just, it's a good psyop in one way because it will convince people who want to be convinced, but people who are just ordinary people, I think, and people who have an open mind and are not completely polluted by the propaganda of the left can look at that and say, this is a joke. As conservatives, Bob, we look at that and say, no way. And how is it that you've got all these people on this bus or whatever, it's train? Every single one of them is an alleged Patriot Front guy, except for the black woman. And yet there happens to be a photographer there.
Exactly. That's the part. Getting perfectly framed too. She's in the middle, her, she's seated there. And you know what they're doing, Pete? They're trying to create a 2026 Rosa Parks moment. Not that they were trying to, but you know what I mean? The woman intimidated, like Rosa Parks on that bus, told to go to the back, blah, blah, give up her seat to a man, the whole 9 yards, trying to intimidate her by these, these white people. So
I don't think anybody's buying it. I don't think anybody's buying it because anybody who rides public transportation probably, I hate to say this, but anyone who's on public transportation, especially in a place like Chicago or Atlanta or places like that, not so much Cleveland, they're afraid when they have a mass group of black teenagers on there. That's what frightens everybody. Having a bunch of nicely dressed white boys on there scares nobody. I don't care if they look uniform, they've got masks on. You probably laugh at them. That's a joke. That's what they don't get about this. And they do it purposely. But most people out there, I get on public transportation in Washington, D.C., and I see just young black males on there. I'm getting ready for some type of an incident. And I hate to say that, but what can you do?
Pete, I'm glad you said that. I can't really say that because
I
that
know you
of
can.
course, would make
You know,
me
almost they have gotten us to the point where there has a narrative that must be abided by. And if you depart from the narrative, what do? Racist, racist.
Yeah.
It's very effective because that's all they've got. They've got to promote this stuff. They've got to forward their propaganda. And the only way they can do that is if you stay in your lane and don't question.
Now, what you said at the beginning too, I think is really, really, well, it's potentially really important because, suggesting that these are not actual, Patriot Front groups. I mean, I know there are Proud Boy groups. I know there are, other, ostensibly
How
white.
do you know that anymore, though? I'm sorry for interrupting. How do you know that anymore? We have
Well,
the regulation of
like-
SPLC, right?
Well, that's very true. In the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, aka socialist pushing leftist crap, yes, they funded KKK groups. They funded the group in Charlottesville that actually led to that encounter and to the death of Heather Heyer. Yes, you're 100% right about that. But I know there are Proud Boy groups because, for example, Enrique Tarrio, who is like one of the leaders of the Proud Boys, which, by the way, he's Hispanic, but he's a leader of this supposed white nationalist group. There are Proud Boys, and they will acknowledge that. They do interviews, and they say, here's what we are. We're not, we don't go after anybody. We don't harm anybody. But we're just people who are not, we're not ashamed of our race. If they're allowed to say Black pride, proud this, whatever, we're proud too. So there are groups, and I'm not going to say there aren't, because there are some bad people out there, and there are people who do see things through racial lenses and so forth. I'm not going to say that they're not, but I don't know that these guys were, because we have video of January 6th and some of the feds, putting on, and some of the Antifa guys as well, putting on their MAGA stuff to make them infiltrate into the crowd, to make them look like they are part of the actual crowd there to protest, the certification of the election. And then they start all of the trouble, and it leads to what it led to. So we have seen evidence of Antifa infiltrating, and sometimes feds infiltrating those groups in order to make them look bad. So I don't know if these people actually were. I think the groups do exist, but I don't know if these individuals were that on that day. Because obviously they agree. I'm sorry, Pete, to interrupt, but here's one thing I would ask you to consider, and I think I everybody else should too, is knowing what that looked like. They all get on board this train car, right? This metro train. They all get on board, all of them in the masks. They're all seeing, except for the one black girl there. One black girl sitting in that thing by herself. None of them are going to look around and say, this is going to look weird. None of them are smart enough to say, wow, and why is that person over there with a camera? You see what I'm saying? If you follow the steps and layer it out, it is impossible that was an authentic, organic moment where they didn't realize they were amidst one black girl, and it might look bad that they're all kind of hovering over her while she's sitting there and somebody's taking pictures. The idea of that is just impossible.
Personally, I think it's laughable. I think it's laughable. I mean, it's so fake to me, it's extraordinary. And I think the approach to almost everything you see these days, and even in the past, is, what's the old phrase, trust but verify? I don't even think you should be trusting but verify. I think you should be very skeptical and still verify. When I looked at that, I said, you got to be kidding. I mean, this is a little bit over the top. I think they blew it this time because it's so ridiculous.
And the worst part about it, Peter, and Dylan, if you can go back to the picture of Irina Zarutska, I don't remember which number that was now, but the actual one. And what's infuriating to me, Peter, is there are Democrat members of Congress who were online sharing this photo and saying this will go into the history books someday because it shows what life is like in Trump's America for black people, surrounded by white nationalists and white supremacists who aim to do them harm. Nothing happened to that woman, even if it was an authentic photograph, which I think you and I both agree is laughable. Nothing happened to her. Something did happen to the girl on your screen right now. She was attacked by a black man from behind with a knife to the neck, murdered in cold blood. This young immigrant white girl from Ukraine was attacked, and that's the one that they ignored. That's the one they were putting a mural to Irina Zarutska up in Charlotte, and Democrats made them take it down. They wanted nobody to know about this, but the fake one that we're talking about now in DC is the one that is going to end up being in the history books, they say.
That's no surprise to anybody. And what's also not a surprise is the media's playing along. You know, I have to say, Bob, been on the Civil Rights Commission for a quarter of a century, and I keep bringing that up because this is my life. This is what I see on a regular basis. Things like this do not surprise me whatsoever. I don't know if it's real or fake. I'm extremely skeptical of it, but I know this, that Irina Zrutska is dead. And I know this also, that almost everybody who rides public transportation doesn't have any fear of a bunch of white boys getting on that conveyance. Nobody has that fear. If I saw these guys coming on, I wouldn't be afraid, not at all. And she probably, I don't know, I'm not going to put any type of emotion in her brain or anything, but nonetheless, it's time for propaganda, and that's what they do.
Well, just the last thing on this, Peter. Dylan, throw up number 9 again real quick so that Pete can see the video of the same girl, apparently just moments before the train was boarded by the supposed white nationalist group. Put that up on the screen. That's her in the corner there, dropping her pants and showing her ass to I don't know whom. It looks like out the window or whatever. But that's her. She's wearing the same shirt in the video on the right that you see her wearing in the seat on the left. And below that is supposedly a mugshot of her because she's somebody who's got a record. Again, the idea that this was some authentic display of potential intimidation or harassment of a young black woman by a bunch of white supremacists, it just gets more absurd by the frame.
Mm.
All right. So thanks, Dylan. You can work that out. Okay. So Peter, Graham Platner, you've watched it, I'm sure, the last 24 hours or so. It's gotten worse and worse and worse. And finally, it looks like the Democrats are ready to Biden him. He's no longer useful to them. They have realized that with the latest accusations against him, he cannot win. And so therefore they're defunding him, and they're asking him to step down and suspend his campaign. Literally a week ago, they were willing to forgive every single horrific thing in that guy's closet, past and present, because they have to win Maine so badly. Now, one of their own, a left-winger, accuses him of rape, and now suddenly he's no longer useful to them, so they're cutting him loose so they can try to find a last-minute replacement like they did with Biden with Kamala Harris. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are I wish the Republicans were better at getting their message out and highlighting these things. Almost everybody who had any commentary whatsoever on Graham Platner saw that this guy was a train wreck, and also that there would be further train wrecks. I mean, if having a Nazi tattoo in and of itself isn't disqualifying, and there's, for anyone to try to believe that he didn't know what it was is truly extraordinary. But if you don't know that, you go along with anything. So this is not a surprise. Anybody who's got a tattoo like that, you should expect the worst. And this is their just desserts. So now I guess they're going to get the former, I can't remember her name, but the former governor of Maine, who's a Democrat, to run in his place. And I think the last few weeks was orchestrated for this result by the Democratic Party. They saw that Graham Platner was a train wreck in the making, and so that they wanted this kind of timing as early as possible to get him out of the picture so they could substitute. Truly amazing. But the point is that if Republicans were any good at this stuff, what they would do is they would get the Ro Khannas and all the other folks who were plastered all over media supporting this guy and claiming that, in fact, the Republicans are the bad guys who do this kind of stuff. They have to get them, if 60 Minutes and World News Tonight and all those guys had any credibility whatsoever, they would be doing to Democrats what they habitually do to Republicans, but they won't do it.
No, they probably won't. I'm trying to figure out how anybody who is even moderate in this country could possibly support a party that has done what the Democrats have done here. They have excused away. Scott, I played a clip earlier before you came on of Scott Jennings on CNN pointing out they cannot claim that, they're bad. They didn't fully vet this guy. If they'd have fully vetted him, they would never have supported him in such a way, would have never raised millions for him and so on and so forth. Scott Jennings pointed out they vetted the hell out of him. They knew every single horrific thing with which he had been involved for years and years and years. And up to this moment, they knew exactly all of it and wrote it off anyway. People can change. Everybody deserves a little bit of grace. He has asked for forgiveness. He didn't know what the tattoo meant. They have explained all of the things that they found through thorough vetting away. And I guarantee you, Peter, and you tell me if you agree, when they were vetting him, they knew about this woman. They knew about the rape. And they sat on it to see how things went. If things were going well, they keep her quiet. If things start to blow up, they release this, and so they can jettison him and find somebody else.
They were going with their fingers crossed, hoping that people in the media, any folks in the media who were aware of this, would keep their mouths shut and that no other witnesses would come forward. They were so desperate, the Democrats were, and the media, but I repeat myself, to have what they saw as a prototypical male as a standard bearer, because they were bleeding support from men in that party. If you look at the statistics, and I don't have them in front of me, men are leaving the Democratic Party in droves because men are being abused by the Democratic Party. They're denigrated by the Democratic Party. They don't adopt or embrace values that most males embrace. And so they were desperate for this clown right here to be a standard bearer, saying, look, we're masculine. See, we have beards and we do all kinds of stuff like that. And we had a guy who's actually in the military, you know, and they get this train wreck. And I guarantee you the next male they have on there who they attempt to pass off as somebody who's masculine is going to have similar baggage. So this is your modern Democratic Party.
That is so exactly right, Pete. I said something similar in the first hour. You know, they were so desperate to try to pull masculinity back in because they drove it away. I mean, they said, if you're masculine, you're toxic.
Bob, can I interrupt you for a second? I've said this in the past, and I think we've talked about this. Every red-blooded male out there is almost like my dogs. They can sense, you know, they can sense if one of them is another dog that enters as part of their pack, okay? The minute you and I saw Graham Platner, and I bet you most of your readers and listeners, the minute they saw him, they knew instinctively, this guy's a fraud. You know,
Yes.
I knew it immediately, and this is not a surprise.
Totally agree. I mean, he was a Marine, so I'll give him credit enough for being a United States Marine. But beyond that, he is totally cosplaying the tough guy, cosplaying as the, you know, but then, you know, come to find out, you know, he likes the concept of raping men. I mean, you remember that one, right? That was one.
Yeah,
I don't
the
know if we talked
burglars.
about it. Yeah, he said, if anybody breaks into my house, I will rape them. Not in a sexual way, not in a gay way, he said, but in a way to show my dominance. Now he's accused of rape, and the victim, you know, his ex-girlfriend, again, a leftist who was staying quiet until she was told she should come out with this now, admitted it was because she wanted him to win. But she said, look, this guy has rape fantasies and he carried out rape on me. That's repeated. It's multiple times now. There's something very, very off and very, very dangerous about that. And this is, again, the Democrats were willing to look the other way and put him in, because guess what? Beating Donald Trump by winning the Senate is way more important than holding a rapist accountable. We'll put that rapist in office if that's what we have to do to win power. That matters more to them than anything else. And this fake tough guy, you know, only brutalizes people that, you know, that can't fight back.
Yeah. So I think it's incumbent on Republicans who do a very poor job of this, and whatever conservative media is out there, like Fox News, to continue to hammer this point home ad nauseum. And I hate to do that, but you've got to do it because the balance is so skewed. If this were a Republican, as I've just stated, as we've indicated, and everybody in your audience knows this, if this man was conservative and or Republican, this would be 24/7. They'd be talking about it. It would be the subject matter of the Sunday talk shows. They'd be going it over and over and over again. But it's going to be swept under the rug. The name Graham Platner is going to be, you know, it's going to be deep six. We won't hear anything about this anymore. You know, every once in a while, because conservative media may make reference to it, we will. But other than that, forget it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Pete, let's go back to the graphic at the beginning there of you and I fighting over who hates socialism more. I think it's going to be a tie because we both feel the exact same way about it. But I want to play something for you, Dylan. Cue up number 11 if you would, please, because I want to play something for you that crystallizes, I think, this better than anybody has as far as why we must recognize the massive proliferation of communists and socialists by way of the DSA, the quote unquote Democratic Socialists of America. and the threat that they pose to this country. This is a 7-minute clip of former President Reagan that was posted by Elon Musk. And it's only the first 30 seconds or so that I want you to hear, Peter, and that I want you to react to. I'm going to see if your reaction was the same as mine. I've never heard it. This is why he was called the great communicator, right? Nobody communicated. I don't think there's ever been a public speaker in the presidency to including today, to better this man. I think he was just so brilliant. But listen to the first 30 seconds or so here, Dylan. I'll tell you when to cut it, but fire.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers. Not too long ago, 2 friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said, "We don't know how lucky we are." And the Cuban stopped and said, "How lucky you are. I had some place to escape to." And in that sentence, he told us the entire story. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
Stop.
And this idea that government...
That's it. Peter, I heard that, I watched that, and I've watched a lot of Reagan speeches through the years because I had to study to become a huge Reagan fan, because when I was in the 80s, as a kid, a teenager, I didn't pay attention to it at all. I've watched a lot of Reagan, but that line never stuck out to me the way that it did when Elon just posted it, because of the fact that communism and socialism are expanding in this country right now. You give me your reaction to what you just heard.
Yeah, and there will be no place to go. I've talked on your show about Yuri Bezmenov and the predictions he made and how the Soviets would try to undermine the United States of America, and it is just spot on. I mean, it's almost word for word identifying or describing what's been happening in this country over the last 40 years. Bezmenov got it right. Reagan is Reagan because he had the foresight to look at this clearly and communicate it extremely well. And I don't think we have, even with President Trump, we don't have the kind of spokespersons on the right now. Rush Limbaugh had the kind of reach, I think, that a president would have, and he did articulate it very well. But we really don't have somebody who's a standard bearer who can articulate. We need a president to be able to do that and to do it regularly. I'm not criticizing Trump whatsoever.
Of course.
But I think the advancement of socialism/communism is so profound, and he did address it, kind of, I don't think enough just a few days ago, but it's so profound and so damaging that it's a 9-alarm fire right now, or whatever the alarm is. I don't even know, but whatever's the maximum alarm right now, that's what it should be.
I think 5 is when they top it out, but
is that what it is? Sorry,
I think so.
I'm not a firefighter, but the last almost 50 to 60 years in our schools has been a gradual acceptance of socialism, and not just acceptance. Around 30 years ago, it changed into promotion of it. And if you take a look at the educational schools that, spit out these teachers these days, and then it's compounded by just the general zeitgeist, the media, what you've got is socialism good, capitalism bad. And those are people who are incredibly ignorant, some of them incredibly dumb. Some, however, are malign. They are purposely doing this because socialism for them is a means to power. It's always been that case. And it sounds nefarious when you say that, but that's precisely what it is. The beauty of it for their purposes is it sounds like it's a 1950s Red Scare show, but it's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. And I talk about that all the time. This isn't McCarthyism. This is happening.
Yeah.
This is happening. Look at all of these, and it's not just in New York, but it is in New York multiple times over, in terms of, Mamdani, the mayor, and then all of these congressional candidates, state Senate candidates. It's in California. It's in Colorado. It's in Seattle, Washington. It's all over this country. It's in Michigan, and it's growing. And we talked about this before. There were a few thousand just a couple of short years ago members of the quote unquote DSA, and now there are over 100,000 members. So socialism and and communism are catching on in their attempt to replace capitalism here in the United States. And it's not, the McCarthyism Red Scare to say that. And the reason I played that clip, and the reason it hit me the way that it did, is because I hadn't heard it framed that way. Talking to a Cuban refugee who said, "You don't understand. I had somewhere to escape to. If freedom falls here, where the hell do we go to escape to? There's not a place we can get on a boat or a plane or anywhere to get to live freely. There's nowhere else that we can go that is as free as this country. So if we lose it here, the world loses it everywhere. There is nothing left. And that just kind of smacked me in the face with reality that in a way that I had not. And the best part about it, Pete, did you see what's going on in Cuba right now? I thought I had a link, but I might
sure.
not.
Everybody who lives under the yoke of socialism or communism, they're out there saying, don't go down this path. We've seen this movie before. They want to get out desperately. That's why you had, quote, Cuban boat people. Have you ever heard of American boat people? Never happens. You ever hear Vietnamese boat people? This is just astonishing. But this is a failure of our educational system. And also, if you take a look at our culture, our mass media, they promote this for reasons that are beyond me. If you were to write a novel or a movie back in the 1950s about this, you'd be laughed out of the country because you'd be, considered to be overreacting. But this is what they do, and it's happening sometimes insidiously.
Yeah, what I was speaking specifically of, Peter, though, when I said, what's going on in Cuba right now, I'm not even talking about the politics of it all. They're literally in the dark. The entire island is without power. Tens of millions of people are without power right now because, again, the communist collectivist government there does not have anything that they can rely on. The people don't produce anything for them. They don't produce anything. They have completely old, antiquated infrastructure, our energy grid, and so on and so forth. And I'm looking at this. Maybe I can share this, Dylan. Let me just pop this up on the screen super quick. No, I didn't mean to do that. Where did that come from, for crying out loud? I'm sorry. I'm messing this up. Yeah, I don't know what I did now. Anyway, there's an article from the Guardian, and I'm trying to see what everybody else is seeing right now. I may have just, like I said, messed this up pretty badly. Let's cancel. There we go. Okay, now I've got at least my site back again. Okay. So I'm looking just at one of the worldwide coverage of this, and it's The Guardian. Living like this is agony. Cuba suffers third nationwide blackout in 6 months. The impoverished island was already struggling to keep the lights on before the U.S. imposed a blockade in January. But this is literally the third in 6 months. And they describe it exactly as it is, that impoverished nation, food and drinking water and medicine are increasingly short supply. The UN has been a warning of a humanitarian emergency there. And I'm just thinking, Peter, when I run through all of the outcomes of the hundreds of millions collectively who have died of starvation and famine, if not from outright executions from these regimes. Most of them are in the past, talking about the Khmer Rouge and talking about the Bolsheviks and Stalin and talking about, the Kim dynasty is still going on and what they do to the people in North Korea. All of this is kind of considered to be, all of those failed attempts at socialism, but we'll do it better here. We'll know how to do it better. This is real time. This is socialism. This is communism on the island of Cuba, and the people there are in real time starving to death. They are so impoverished. They don't have food. They don't have water. They don't have power. They don't have medicine. It's like everybody that's watching CNN and MSNBC right now, as they gloss over, the socialists who are winning all of these elections, turn and look to your right and look at Cuba. Look at Cuba.
Is that Detroit, by the way?
Look to Cuba and see what's happening right now, and you'll see what our future is. I'm sorry, what, Pete?
Was that Detroit?
It could very well be.
Yeah, the point is this. Whenever within the United States, in a particular jurisdiction, we adopt socialist precepts, it looks like that. Okay? That is socialism / communism in a nutshell. That's the inevitable result. Inevitable result, no matter what happens. And so, the few folks on the top, they're living the life of Riley because everything's being funneled to them. But most of the folks out are like that. And the repression is real because you can't have people exist in a regime like that and be complacent about it unless you oppress them by military force and all other types of constructs that will keep them in their place.
Yeah, very, very well said. Peter, let's move on. I'm going to go backwards a little bit now to Saturday and what happened in the 250th celebration. It was a tremendous weekend. Mount Rushmore on Thursday, massive display of patriotism and appreciation for 250 years of American freedom. Then on Friday, another huge display, the World's Fair going on there in Washington, D.C. Saturday, the actual anniversary or birthday, if you will. President Trump waits through, hours of storms to clear out and multiple evacuations before he can give his late speech. And just completely, 100% pro-America, and the Democrats hated it. Dylan, play number 10 for Pete, please, so we can get his reaction to, I think Rush used to call him F. Chuck Todd for a reason, I think. Play number 10 for us, please. All right, it's coming up. Come on.
And feel betrayed. I do. I feel betrayed as an American by him on this. Constitution is not perfect, but it gives us a way to keep going. It gives us structure for disagreement. It gives us a method for repair. It gives us the possibility of becoming better without pretending we were always good. It makes some of the same promises that some religious texts do for people. And this is why I'm so pissed off. Not because I love the country less, but because I love the idea of America enough to resent seeing it cheapened by this man. America deserved better at 250. Someday, I believe, it will get better.
This is, thank you, Dylan. This is TDS, Pete, and I think we're seeing symptoms in real time. Did you notice him bouncing? Did you notice this? He is tapping his foot, or he is shaking his leg, and he is so livid. He is seething that America had to celebrate 250 with Orange Man Bad at the helm. This is an absolute meltdown. This guy was, I guarantee you, as soon as he turned his camera off, he smashed something, maybe the camera, because he was so livid. He couldn't even sit still. He was so livid that Trump stood up there before the world and praised America and praised American exceptionalism in a way that he found distasteful because he hates Trump so much. Thoughts?
Yeah, and he's just representative of most of the people in major media. Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing. At some point, you have to actually ask yourself, could it be a medical condition? Could one day we recognize it as a medical condition? But these are the folks who, they hate the flag. They've said they get disgusted when they see the flag because in their viewpoint, the United States of America is about whoever is in charge. If they're not in charge, they don't like the country. You contrast that with conservatives who, they may not like who's in charge, but that's relegated. That's specific to the person in charge. But they love the United States of America. They'll still fight for it. They'll still raise the flag every single day. They take pride in the United States of America and brag about it when they go overseas. Not so progressives. It's for them, the country is only as good as its adoption of their principles and precepts. That's all. And they don't recognize its history. They think the history was evil, inveterately so, no way about it. Not looking at little instances where the United States did wrong, but generally speaking, they dislike the United States of America, and they will resist that. They will say to you, no, that's not true. We just hate or dislike this particular, but look at their behavior throughout. When the United States did certain things to advance the cause of freedom in the world, they disliked it if it was something that impinged upon socialism or communism. Only when it's doing things that are irrelevant, that don't do anything to advance the precepts of freedom throughout the world or they enhance the prospects of the United States of America and its citizens. Only when we do something like that do they hate it.
Yeah, and Peter, since you mentioned the flag, and since you mentioned how they are triggered by the sight of the flag, and in fact, I remember doing this last week on a show leading into the 250th celebration weekend, that one of the surveys showed that only 27% of Democrats said that they would fly an American flag in celebration of Independence Day, even on a milestone like 250. 27%. By my poor mathing brain, that's still 73% that had no interest in flying an American flag. Some of them not only will not fly an American flag, they are terrified of the American flag. Watch this.
As a Black woman, my lived experience in this country was embodied by a photograph that was taken in celebrating the 250th.
Yeah. There was a 4th of July march in D.C. by masked white nationalists who were also caught on camera riding the metro with a very concerned-looking woman. Interior Secretary Doug Burgum. See that picture? Look at that.
Yeah.
It's scary. Doug Burgum was asked if he condemns the group's message on CNN. He's a Trumper. Watch.
I think that certainly is what they stand for is nothing that I could possibly agree with, but one of the foundational principles of the United States, which makes democracy messy, is free speech. And there are plenty of things that I see that I might personally find offensive, irreprehensible. But in America, free speech is allowed.
So for that, they're concerned about the First Amendment.
Correct.
But getting Jimmy Kimmel off the air, that doesn't count. Go ahead.
Correct. And that's
This is the part that I'm concerned with right here, what she's about to say. Go on.
You know, I think, unfortunately, in this country, people have different lived experiences. So while some may have a lived experience like this is the best country in the world, and while there's some stuff that goes on, you know, other things are okay. That, for me, was a defining image of modern America for Black Americans. Defining. That Patriot Front is a white nationalist organization founded in 2017 after the deadly Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. You know what they promote? An ultra-nationalist ideology that focuses on creating a white ethno-state in the United States with the
yada, 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 yada. I want to do this up
to align with their vision of racial and cultural homogeneity. As a Black woman, and that's the type of fear I have to experience.
And by the way, show your face. I'm not one to call name, but
Stop. I think we skipped over it, actually. God dang it. The part that she said that I was laboring to get to was when she said that she feels fear when she sees the American flag. She said the sight of the American flag or multiple American flags around her make her afraid. That's the part I was trying to get to. And they were trying to, again, advance the narrative that we just talked about with that ridiculous photo op hoax picture that they put together in order to try to make, you know, Trump's America look, even what they said about Doug Burgum. But it's the part that I wanted you to respond to, Pete, is where she said the sight of the flag, or when she is surrounded by American flags, she gets afraid.
Yeah, well, she's invincibly ignorant, as William Buckley would say. I mean, really, not just ignorant, but truly dumb. And she doesn't like the United States, despite the fact that were she in any other society with her level of talent and brains, she'd be digging ditches somewhere. And no disrespect to ditch diggers, but she is that vapid. So I've got American flag flying outside my home right now. I've got a total of 4 of them. I've got 2 in my workout area. I mean, full-size American flags. And I'm very proud of them. I draw inspiration, as most normal people do. And it's been said, and forgive me because I can't remember who said it or the context, but it's a famous phrase about how when the world is in trouble, or a particular area of the world is desperate, either because of hunger, because of some natural catastrophe, because some bad actors, communists or whomever, Nazis, have attacked, the sight of the American flag coming over the hill is the one most people want to see. That's the sight they want to see. That's the thing that they know is this is liberation, this is safety, this is freedom. But these clowns who have nothing but comfort and freedom and security don't appreciate that. For folks like me and my family who appreciates that, who've seen that kind of depredation, when we hear people like Sonny Hostin, I'd like to simply say, and I do, I roll my eyes most of the time, or try to ignore it. but it's despicable and vile. I'd love to debate this clown. Okay, she
Yeah.
doesn't have, no, I don't want to, because frankly, it's like, I don't beat up little kids. I want fair fights. This is, I don't even want to see this clown.
Yeah, and Peter, she's not the only one, and it's also not just the race thing. What the left wants people to believe is that not only is the United States irredeemably racist, and it continues to be, they fixate and focus solely on Jim Crow, slavery. Forget about all of the hundreds of thousands of people and maybe millions of people who died to end those things, and all of the incredible work that was done by the Republican Party to bring freedom and to bring liberty and to bring equal rights and to bring civil rights and so forth forward. They don't want to hear about any of that stuff. They want to continue to make people think that this country is irredeemably racist, and apparently also it is still irredeemably sexist. It is misogynist. Women apparently don't have rights in this country. I wasn't aware of this, Peter. Now, you're on the Civil Rights Commission. So if anybody is aware of this, you should be aware of what rights women do not have that men do have. Watch this. Dylan, 16, please. The video. You got to go down to the video. There you go. Yeah, I'm going to have to play this myself. I really want to get this stuff up and on. I want you to be able to hear these things. I just... Can you do it or no? Okay.
Sorry about that. Technical difficulties.
Yes, I'm going to say no. Just never mind. Just never mind. I'm going to have to figure out something else. Okay. Alicia Keys is what I was trying to share with you. Dylan, Alicia Keys, singer, whatever type of entertainer she is. I don't really know. I don't really care. But what I do care about is that she made a statement over the weekend on America's 250 and said that American, let's see, quote, "Did you know that it's been 100 years since the Equal Rights Amendment was first introduced, and now still women don't have an explicit guarantee to equal rights under the Constitution? Can you believe that? I couldn't even believe that was real. I mean, women are not asking for special rights, just equal rights." She said this out loud into a microphone on a video that we apparently cannot play. Peter, you're on the Civil Rights Commission. I demand civil rights, all equal rights for women. Which rights are you and the others trying to hold back from women? Which rights do men have that women do not have? Peter Kirsanow.
I guess the right to be considered seriously when you don't have the brain to support it. I mean, this is what you get from the media. This is what you get because we've got a pathetic educational establishment right now. It has been, I don't want to paint a broad brush because I've met them and there are tons of great teachers out there. But the educational establishment for a long time and still continue today because of the teachers union has been controlled by the left. Look at the texts that are being used. And I don't simply want to ascribe this to the educational establishment, but she lives in a world where what she has said is commonplace. It is conventionally accepted. And I don't think we as conservatives do enough to educate people, to change the narrative on this to an accurate narrative. And I do think that there's value to a little bit of hagiography. And by that, I mean promoting the United States of America beyond facts, but simply saying this is a great place to live, because otherwise you get the kind of clowns like we see here, a lot of them in the entertainment spectrum, that say kind of these boneheaded things that are just extraordinary. I would ask Alicia Keys, she must have, I suspect because she goes tours all over the place, that maybe she's been to, say, Cambodia, maybe she's been to Russia, and just for a moment, pause, put down her Gucci bag, dismiss her chauffeur, look around and say, maybe this isn't quite as good as the United States of America. What boneheads. And also you get cred, you get props from the folks in the media, in the entertainment establishment, when you say anti-American things. And that's been the case for the last, at least since the Vietnam War.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would probably use a couple of different examples, by the way, of where she should go to really kind of see the comparison. Cambodia and Russia are fine, but I would like her to take a little tour of the Middle East. I would like her to see what Islamic countries look like when it comes to women's rights, where if your hair is showing, you can be whipped and flogged publicly, where if your ankles are showing, in certain of these countries, and you're a woman, where if you're 9 years old, you can be married off to an adult male man in Islam because you are the property of people, not an individual. So she's complaining about rights for women in the United States of America. When have you ever heard any of these left-wing celebrities or elected officials or politicians or so forth condemning Islamic countries for their treatment of women? We had Peter, last example for you. Do you remember in Trump's State of the Union address where a bunch of the Democrat women came into the chamber wearing red? They were trying to symbolize the Handmaid's Tale. The Handmaid's Tale, which is the story of the women who were forced to be impregnated and blah, 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 blah. As if that's what the United States was going to be under Donald Trump. Not one of them, and not one of these celebrities like Alicia Keys has said that's life. That's real life going on right now in every Muslim country in the world. Not one word about it, because how dare they upset their Muslim supporters?
Yeah, and they will play concerts. They will have movie sets in those countries. So they're not completely ignorant of that. And they will take, because some of these places have got a lot of money and will shower a lot of money on them, they'll take the money and just go off and continue to denigrate the United States of America. So for those who do that, I've got no brief for them whatsoever. It's despicable when they do so. The very few people in the entertainment media who embrace the United States openly and in a patriotic fashion, you take a look at them, and they're some of the best. Like, Tom Cruise constantly does, promotes the United States of America. Now, we may take issue with certain ways he may do it or something of that, and sometimes it could be over the top or who knows what. That's not the point. It's entertainment. But I love the folks that understand what the United States of America has provided, not just to them, but to the world in general. And it's to be championed. It's to be the fact that they do that's supposed to be disseminated and celebrated. But I can't take these clowns anymore, and I never really could. But we're at the point now where
it is getting.
How much more do we have to take of this? And when I hear, I don't do it anymore, frankly, because I've told you that I never get invited to debates anymore. But when I used to go on to camp. When I used to go on various campuses, I'd listen to these insipid leftist professors. These are folks who supposedly have an education, and they are repeating these falsehoods, these calumnies about America and distorting American history. And the reason why I don't get invited, and others like me don't get invited, and I could list the whole name of them, especially the person that they will never, ever invite, even worse than Kirsanow, is Heather McDonald. But all those folks, they don't invite us there because what we do is we say, okay, the sun is hot, the ocean is wet. We say simple truths like that they will, but believe me, Bob, and you know this, you've seen this, they will tell you the greatest absurdities. It's the big lie theory. Again, I go back, everything goes back to Yuri Bezmenov, or at least someone who's escaped from communism. I don't have time for these folks anymore. All right, life's too short to spend on stupid stuff, whether it's The View, Alicia Keys, or some other insipid leftist. That's the third time I've used insipid in this interview, Bob.
Well, you know what? If it fits, then keep using it, because you're right each and every time. Peter, last question for you this morning. We spent a lot of time.
My 40 time? Is it about my 40 time?
No, it's not about your 40 time. Okay. It is about your job and the chairmanship of that commission. We talked a lot, you and I, about some of the Supreme Court decisions over the course of the last 2 and 3 weeks. We did not talk about the one that should pave the way. Yes, sir. That paves the way to you to get in the chair for which to which you have been appointed. Can you give us that?
Yeah, the Slaughter case, and you know this, Bob. You're the only talk show host who actually understands this or even is aware of this. But the Slaughter case, it's a fundamental truth. It says that the President of the United States, as the head of the executive branch, has unfettered right to appoint people to executive branch agencies. I mean, it's just it's so simple. We needed the Supreme Court to say this in a decision. But that's because the left has fought this, because they know that the deep state, it's kind of a colloquialism for the administrative state. All those agencies that are not elected aren't accountable, or they thought they were not accountable to anybody. They thought they were powers unto themselves. And the Supreme Court said, no, we have this thing called the Constitution, and we have a separation of powers, and it allocates powers to different entities, and the president's got the ability to appoint folks. So at some point in the very near future, we haven't had a Civil Rights Commission meeting in a while for a variety of reasons, but we've got one coming up shortly, and at that time, we'll see what happens, as the president likes to say. But and I'm not going to necessarily reveal anything. Next time, or in a few weeks when I'm back on, I'll let you know what's going to what has happened. But they don't have a leg to stand on. They never did, but now
they never did, and that's the most egregious part about this, Peter. And you're right. It shouldn't take the Supreme Court to have to say this, that the president.
Story of my life. 25 years I've been on. So every time I get appointed to something, it's like DEFCON 5. And it's not to, like, if I were appointed to be Secretary of Defense, I'd get it. But I'm just on the Civil Rights Commission or the National Labor Relations Board, and entities like that. But it's like, holy crap. And I like it because I think it was G. Gordon Liddy said, in the battle of wits, they are unarmed.
Can you imagine what you would have had to go through had you been Labor Secretary?
Oh, yeah, I can imagine it. I can imagine. I've seen it before. And I think, the good news is there's a lot of folks around the president and within conservative circles who like the fight. And they want me to be in positions like this because they know that I will drive the left absolutely nuts. And not because I'm trying to. I don't have to try. It's simply because the twin problems for them of, number one, I'm a true believer in the American prospect. And number two is, I am a black male who should hate the United States of America in their estimation. And the fact that I don't, and the fact that I promote the United States of America, it's like somebody let the cat out of the bag. Nope, 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 keep these people quiet, because other people will realize this is the greatest nation that ever existed in the world.
Peter Kirsanow, phenomenal job as always. And as you leave, I'm going to put this picture back up there, and I'm going to ask everybody that's in the live chat right now, who won? Who do you think wins this battle? There it is. You can see it now. France and Kirsanow, one-on-one at the table. Let's go. I used to tell my son, meet me at the table, until he finally beat me about a year ago. Meet me at the table. Who wins the battle, chatters? Well, I'll let you know what the results of that survey next time we talk, Peter. Peter,
take care, Bob.
Peter, we appreciate you very much, my friend. Great job as always, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.
All right, there you go. That's
If you're on Medicare and ever find yourself confused by your coverage, you're not alone. Medicare can be complicated, and the wrong information or no information at all can cost you time, money, and peace of mind. Hey, it's Bob France. For a Medicare professional I know and trust, Mark King. I've known Mark for years, and I've confidently referred Medicare recipients to him time and time again because he puts people first and explains Medicare in plain English. Mark takes the time to help you understand how Medicare works, what coverage you have, and what options might be available based on your needs. There's no pressure, no confusion, and no rushed decisions. Just honest guidance from someone who's been doing this for nearly 40 years and who knows this system inside and out. If you're unsure about your doctors, your prescriptions, or your overall coverage, Mark is the go-to guy you need. Call 440-832-8936 to get an appointment. That's 440-832-8936. And for user-friendly information, visit keepingmedicaresimple.com. I trust Mark King for answers, and you can too.
He's a patriot all the way through and through, and he's going to help you out, no question about it. And that, of course, is Mark King. And one more thank you to our friends at AFP, Americans for Prosperity, as well. AFP working hard to make the Buckeye State better. It is already a great state. It can be so much better with the right leadership and with the right policies. And that's what they are striving for at BuckeyeBlueprint.com. Visit that website when you get a chance today. When the show signs off, go ahead and tap out BuckeyeBlueprint.com. See what AFP and Americans for Prosperity Ohio are trying to do in this state and figure out how you can help. Find a chapter near you, find a way to volunteer, send an email. There are a lot of different options about what we can do as individuals to take one small step. That was the theme of our big gathering in Columbus a couple of weeks back. What small steps can we take to make Ohio better and, of course, the United States by extension? Go to BuckeyeBlueprint.com for AFP Ohio, BuckeyeBlueprint.com, and thank you to them for being foundational partners and sponsors of Strictly Speaking Unfiltered as well. Okay, that's going to do it for this Tuesday. Appreciate you very much being here. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking with, I'm trying to decide. I'm thinking tomorrow, but I may want to push it to Thursday. But I talked last night with Auditor of State Keith Faber. We had an hour, and it was a great hour of everything from auditing the state of Ohio to being Attorney General of the state of Ohio and what that looks like, what conservatism means, the threat of socialism. We really covered the gamut. It was a really, really great chat. And I'm trying to decide if it's going to be tomorrow or Thursday. I guess you'll just have to tune in to find out if we're going to have Faber for which one of those. But chatters, of course, keep coming. And don't forget, if you are watching this on replay and not live, you can't do the live stream chat, but you can get into the comment section and tell us what you've got to say about anything you just heard from myself, from Kirsanow, from the Platner story, from the train story, and so forth. We would love to hear what you have to say. So I encourage you to help me out in a couple of ways. Hit the thumbs up button. That helps engagement. Hit the notification button. That's the bell. That helps engagement. Hit the locals community button. That's the join button if you're watching on Rumble. That helps engagement. If you're watching on YouTube, same thing. If you're watching on any of the other platforms, I welcome you to please engage in those ways so that the algorithms can pick up the movement and therefore push us out to more people. That's the only thing we can do is work on the grassroots level until the organic algorithmic, and that's kind of weird and that's oxymoron, but the algorithmic growth starts to take over. Thanks, everybody. Be well, be safe, and as always, try to stay free. We'll see you tomorrow.